Welcome to my daily review. Today is Wednesday, May 14th, and you're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which advanced once again today, 136 points or 0.72%, 39% above the average 50-day volume. So we're seeing some good volume coming in here. Could be some, FOMO off the sidelines, people who are, on the wrong side of the trade here as the market reversed on heavy volume around that April 7th date. And now they want to get into this market. They're seeing, there some stocks trading higher. When did I say? April 7th. Yeah, the low since the low, it's we're looking at this V-shaped rally. I showed you the 2018, 2019 Nasdaq yesterday. I'm not going to go through that exercise every day. You know what it looks like. I will say that the Nasdaq now is 10.1% above the downtrending 50, and now I have this on the 5 here. I should probably switch it back 2.6% above the 5. But with the index, I'm just going to go back to the 10. I was looking at leading stocks, so I had moved it to the 5. But yeah, well above the 10 here. Yeah, 5% above the 10 EMA. So getting a little stretch, maybe needs a little bit of a, digestion day or two. But very strong, trending in the right direction. You can see all the closes above the 21. The 10 and the 21 went through the 50, which is a buy sign for me, but now you're looking at the 10 is going to trend through the 200, which the 5 already has a short-term moving average, but I switched it back, but whatever. Not that important. I just want to point out though, today was a day we've seen a lot kind of narrow leadership, and it's been expanding the last couple of weeks. Narrow leadership at the start when we had this kind of a hiccup here off the lows, and then the rally we had, Netflix, and I'll get to those. But now we're seeing the traditional mega cap tech stocks like Tesla, NVIDIA, AMD, SMCI rallying today. Meta Platforms has been strong as well. And so those are the large cap tech stocks which drive the index, and a lot of the other leaders or the stronger stocks recently took a breather today. And I'm going to get to all that in a minute, but I just wanted to point out that the news from the Middle East is what drove some of this stuff here. As I get off the index, or I want to get to stocks, this is Tesla. We put this on the ready list this week as it traded through its 200. It's been up, all 3 days this week, so it was a nice trade, up 16.5%. To me, this is just a trade. I'm not expecting it to make new highs or anything. But, if you get a 20% move, 10 to 20% move off of 300, you're looking at 330 to 360, and it's there right now at 350. So for me, I would be trimming a little bit. I did not take that trade, but if I did, I would be trimming just a little bit, a partial, a third, maybe, and you can let the rest run. This is NVIDIA. I did put this one on, there were so many stocks that I showed you last night that I wanted to put on. I'm going to get to those, and I still like them, but I decided to put on NVIDIA because it rallied through its 200. And to make a move like this from 86 to whatever it was, 130, it takes a lot of demand to move that supply of NVIDIA. This is a big battleship. This is a $3.3 trillion stock. So when it starts moving like this, institutions are taking some bites here, some nibbles and some bigger bites of this stock up after hours. Now, my thesis here is once it goes through the 200, I'm not expecting new highs, but a 10% move from 130 to a 20% move is, I don't know, between, I don't know, $13, $20. So, well, I'd say 142 to 148, 150. I would definitely be trimming around, 142, but takes a lot of, like I said, some huge demand to move NVIDIA. And this one, when it moves, it can really move though. When the institutions start taking a bite out of that, they go after it. They gorge themselves. All right, another stock in this group is AMD. I like AMD actually a little more than NVIDIA. I didn't put it on the ready list though because it's below the 200 here. I still like it. It's got plenty of buy points. It broke above its downtrend line. I know it's below the 200. And that's why I backed off of it. But yeah, I kind of like AMD. They had a massive buyback. I forget I don't know. They're part of the Middle East deal as well. And she announced large stock buyback program. So anyway, longer term, I should say I like AMD, not just for a trade. I like AMD longer term than NVIDIA because it's a smaller company, 190 billion compared to 3.3 trillion. I think AMD has a little more room to grow. That's all. Let me see. I did mention Meta Platforms. This has had a great week as well. I did not put this on the ready list, but you could see it's forming this nice cup-shaped pattern, up 11% this week. So congrats to the Meta. And if it just formed a little shelf here and allow the moving averages to catch up, I would be more interested. And then, of course, SMCI had the big deal. Now, this one traded through its 200. This one has momentum. We know how this one can move. It's very seductive and enticing, but I'm going to stay away from it, even though it traded above its 200. Yeah, that earnings line just doesn't do it for me. I know they made a big deal and probably portends for, better earnings going forward, but I'm just going to stay away because I like some of the other names that I'm going to get to here in a minute. All right. That's it for the deal from the Middle East and the big mega cap tech stocks. I'm going to move on to earnings. Last night we heard from a couple of companies. OKLO had a nice response, 15% move to its earnings reports, and then GRAL did not, down 23%. It was up what prior to the print, going into the print it was up like 16%, yeah, 19%. And then it gave it all back and then some pull back to the 21 today after the print. So this is just a wild stock. And then AEO, these guys, it's retail's been kind of tough. It's really hit and miss. They lowered guidance and traded down today. Who else do we have from earnings? DT. I don't really know what this company does. Software company, a lot of software companies, but I do like the chart. Why? Well, because now it's traded above that old 51, 53 and through its 200 SMA. So congrats to the DT longs. The defense name that I mentioned out of Huntington Beach, California, last night, Carmen Holdings reported up 8%, making a new high. So you got to like, the IPOs making new highs. I like that a lot. You could see the group, top five group here, top stock in the top group. So Carmen is very intriguing. 38.58 would be the old, what you call the double top, breakout buy point. All right. Let's move on from that one. Oh, Sony. Sony's an old, Japanese company. And they report and they were up, nice report up whatever percentage, but I just got to look at the monthly chart. And this is intriguing if you're a long-term, investor. Sony looks pretty good here if it could break out of that old cup shape pattern here from, I'll get the date here. It's a what from 2021. It's been over 4 years. 4 years forming a base, so that's a big base. All right. I'm going to move on. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to, one more earnings call is EXEL. Now, the biotech drug companies have just been murdered, for a variety of reasons. The executive order that was signed by the president won, but they just can't get out of their own way. This is one of the companies that actually doing well. EXEL up 20%. The eventually they will become buy some of these stocks because they're doing well. But man, the XBI has just been getting hammered, and every stock that I look at in this is just group has just been murdered. SRPT, WGS. Oh man, that's just too much pain. So anyway, just wanted to point out that XL is kind of one that got away, right? From the Grim Reaper. This one's up 20% on earnings. Okay, I'm going to move on because I want to talk about the rally, that I showed you the V-shaped rally and the Nasdaq, and every rally needs to have leading stocks. And we had some narrow leadership right out of the gate. Netflix, when they reported, started running back in mid-April, early April, yeah, April 19th, 18th, and there. Okay, so it's been running, a month here, and it looks good in a buy on pullbacks. And I'm going to switch to the five now, if you will indulge me, because I think leading stocks, you need to look at the five and see how they are moving in relation to the 5 EMA, which is the faster moving average. MicroStrategy was another one of these stocks that started running in April. It's been a month now that it's been running. Just I talk about the 5 EMA. Just look at that as a thing of beauty. Now, Bitcoin was not up today, at least the last time I checked, but this stock, this is tethered to Bitcoin and it's just grinding higher. I mean, that to me, you just buy it when it comes back and bounces off that five every time. And, buy the dips and sell the rips, whatever, if you're into that kind of thing. But that was one of the leaders, Palantir as well. Obviously, leading stock. This thing straight up from what, 66. This thing's a monster. I think it's going much higher. Just starting to break out. And that's why I have it on my ready list. I know it's a late stage base. These guys, though, for AI, they're going to be the kings of the software game. So, yeah, there's a reason why it's so darn strong, making a new high today. It jumped off today, and I noticed the early move here. I better go to the early move, and then kind of sold off. But yeah, it went up to like 130, 134, 133 and a half. Okay. So, and then pulled back to the 130. And you got to keep in mind that this Friday is OPEX and they got those round numbers that they might be dialed into. So Palantir might not be able to jump off that 130 level until next week. All right. Another one of the leaders here is Duolingo. Man, this thing's just a monster. This thing broke out way back here, yeah, April 23. So this thing was front running the Nasdaq's climb. And once again, that 5 EMA, it just comes back and now it's extended. So you got to wait for it to come back. 5 EMA is what, 521 today. So, and it's rising fast every day. So just this is the kind of the leadership from the jump, right? Uber from 60 ran up. Spotify, same thing, had that one little hiccup after earnings, but this thing's moved nicely. So that was the original, dirty half dozen that started the rally. And then we started seeing, other stocks like HIMS, coming off the lows. They're just really coming on hard the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago, it was up, what, 45%. Last week, it was up. Had another nice move last week, 27%. It's only up 17%. What a dog. What's wrong with this thing? Just pull back today. Once again, you got to watch the five. I left this on my red list today because this stock, it could pull back to the five in one day and bounce, and $5 higher. And that's why I'm leaving it on because when stocks make moves like this, you got to pay attention to them. 23 to 66 in a jiffy, like in a month. So, don't ignore a move like that. This thing is kind of a special kind of stock. So that's why I'm leaving it on the ready list. But just mind the five. I just want you to mind the five here. And when it pulls back in there, and it could be tomorrow, it could be Friday, it could be next week. But when it comes back into that five, and the five is rising so darn fast. Just a couple days ago, it was 50, 51, 55 yesterday, 57 today. So tomorrow is going to be around $60. So I could see it opening, gapping lower in the morning down to that five and then bouncing higher. This is not going to be down for long, I don't think. That's my professional opinion. Robinhood markets, once again, just minding the five, got a little extended. These things are extended. They moved a lot. So let that five catch up. But these are the ones that are kind of like the secondary movers here in this rally. And that's what we need to see, a broadening of this leadership in the rally and not just having, you know, 5 or 6 stocks. Dutch Bros, you got to watch this one. This one's nicely up off the bottom, 47. I wanted it to form a little shelf here for a few days, but I don't think it wants to. It's moving sharply higher today, up another 2 something percent. It's had a nice week. It's up, yeah, 13 something percent this week. So Bros is ready to move, and we've seen some really strange earnings reactions because the Robinhood I mentioned earlier. If I go back, they reported earnings. It did not move. It was right in here. Just pulled back to the 21 and then bounced. Bros, it moved initially, then paused, and now it's starting to move again off 4.7% same store sales. That'll catch anyone's eye. And then Reddit reported, and then Reddit had a good report, but the CEO, he talked too much. and said Google's, big, competitor. Duh, we know that, but he doesn't have to mention that. So it kind of stalled. I'm not blaming the CEO because institutions are going to buy when they want to buy and not when you want them to buy. And they were buying today. To me, this is just like a delayed reaction off that strong earnings report. You see this triple digit earnings growth, that's why I'm a stickler for this earnings and sales growth, 61% sales growth. That's what finally, we're going to have, after 5 months of correction, we're starting to get a little rally and earnings are being rewarded and it's about darn time. But Reddit, a nice day today. Carvana, this is the stuff that keeps me up at night. I wanted to put Carvana on, but I put NVIDIA invert instead, but I screwed up. I didn't screw up. I just don't want too many stocks on here. But this one's moving well. And if you bought this one instead of NVIDIA, this is fine. This thing looks fantastic. Maybe I'll put it on tomorrow just so I can sleep better. And as soon as I do, it'll pull back to the five. You can see it's a little extended from the five there. So yeah, and I mentioned VRT. So another one that I put on the ready list I like, well, because it, traded above its 200, got above par, par. Well, the 100 number can oftentimes be resistance, but it went through it like poop through a goose. I'm very impressed with the move here. And now it's up near 110. I'm going to leave this on. I think this thing can trade up to, I don't know, 120, maybe back to the 126 area. It has momentum. It's a strong stock. But yeah. Yeah, I put that one on and I left Carvana and I left Chewy off. These are the two that Chewy looks good to me. This looks fantastic. Thought it would form more of a handle, but that shakeout to the 21 provided enough of a shakeout there. And yeah, nice move. Once again, Chewy's up yeah, only 4% this week, but I still maybe I'll put that on tomorrow. Tomorrow's what, Thursday? Yeah. You got to be mindful of the OPEX here because sometimes stocks stall, towards the end of the week on this shenanigans. Another one that I did put on, I believe, I'm pretty sure I did. Roblox, nice cup with handle pattern. There's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 day handle. Now it's moving out this week. So it just like Palantir, it had that 5 days of pullback. There you can see it last week, and now yeah, it's up 11% this week. So Roblox looks good. RBRK, I got these two together in my account. Yeah, RBRK and RBLX are working for me. This one's just pushing away from the base, not an explosive move, just kind of quietly pushing away. But now it's getting a little bit extended from that five. So maybe in the next couple days it'll pull back or just, stall and to allow the moving average to catch up. That's another one that I like a lot. APH, I put this one on the list and it's just performing beautifully. Nice inside day today, up 6% for the week though. Yeah, nice quiet, man. That's what you call a quiet day, allowing the moving average to catch up. That's textbook. That's what I like to see in my stocks right there. Another one that I had on the focus list, but I didn't put it on, is Waystar Holdings. This is a software medical play, pulled back to its 21 and then pulled back to its 50. So it needs to bounce. And so I'm just watching that one. Not ready to put that one on yet. AXON, Axon. This thing's a thing of beauty as well. I'm looking for a handle here and it's not giving me one. Sometimes, they don't need handles. You can see the 5 and the 21 just blasted through the 50. Blue dot here, relative strength and Axon. So many stocks performing well, so many stocks breaking out, so many stocks showing strength here. And this is how we're going to be able to sustain the rally, not just in the mega cap tech or not just in, software, hardware. There's just a lot of names jumping off here. This is a software name, cup with handle pattern moving nicely. They reported on Monday. Stalled a little bit on Monday, but up more than 5% this week, and I think it's going higher. CPNG, I think they announced the stock buyback program. But you can see the double bottom base here, and just once again, just pushing away from the base, minding the five here. Thing of beauty. That's a nice hammer candle today, closed 90%, 97% of the daily range. God, there's just so many stocks. I can't get to them all. CRS, this is another steel specialty alloy is what I'm talking about. Some of these, groups, stocks in different groups that are just showing strength. This one is, like I said, a steel stock, and it's up 8% this week. So just a lot of names to watch here. ACHR, this is one that I had on the ready list last week. It's up 34% this week. They reported earnings. Yeah, nice move here. Yeah, I put it on last week, but they reported earnings Monday, so I took it off. But nice bounce there off the five, as you can see. And this is just what I'm talking about. A lot of these names are just showing a lot of strength here. One that, an oldie but goodie, App Lovin', just minding the five. You can see the 5 and the 21 have now crossed through the 50, just grinding higher. I would say that 352 would be an area of interest. And the old buy point was 417. Yeah, I mean, once again, you get the triple digit EPS growth. So App Lovin', just a lot of names here. All right, I guess I could go to ONON. I'm going to go to the shoe group, and this one looks good as well, right? The shoes. It must be the shoes, and they reported nice response there. This one showing strength. Even our old friend Crocs, now doesn't have the tariff trouble, and man, up to over 120 on Monday. Nice move there. And when I look at Crocs, I got to look at Deckers. Just forming a stage one base here, long term, and I'm talking long term winner here with Deckers. I love that monthly chart. Just shoes, you can get rich off his shoes. Who knew? Uh, all right, so I'm going to get out of there. Oh, I did want to point out Skechers was bought by a company and now it just flattened out. So that's why I don't show Skechers anymore. Somebody was asking me somewhere. Yeah, that shoe group. So anyway, all right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, except for in honor of the great Steve Jobs. Stay hungry, stay foolish, stay humble. We have earnings reports tonight, and I've got to start with the most important one, Boot Barn. I'm just kidding. Boot Barn, they announced a 200 million stock buyback program. That's pretty significant for a 4 billion market cap stock. So, yeah, Boot Barn, I'm not sure about the earnings report, and I just yeah, I'll have more in the morning on this. I'm not sure about the earnings. What caught my attention was the huge, massive stock buyback program. So that one's going to be up nicely tomorrow. Cisco, back in the day, in the 90s, man, I think John Chambers he must have had about 7 or 8 years where he beat earnings and raised every quarter for like, I want to say at least 30 quarters in a row. And there at the end, he was beating by a penny and raising by a penny. He had it down to a science. God bless him. John Chambers, great guy. Great CEO, very underrated. Nobody talks about John Chambers. He's over there at Cordell. Remember golfing his ass off. Good for him. But anyway, Cisco reported this one's minding the five too. So we're finding strength here. It rallied through the 50. The 21 is trending through the 50. This is a nice trend here. Now, some caution ahead of the earnings report as it pulled back to the five, and we can see after hours it's up nearly 3% on a really solid quarter. I mean, this is not the go-go stock that it was. I mean, single digit growth, that's fine. That's what's, going to move the stock here. But congrats to the longs there at Cisco Systems. I'll have more in the morning on Cisco's report. But the one that I was really interested and impressed with was CoreWeave. This one, yeah, nice report after hours. I don't know, it is moving around a lot after hours. They had 420% sales growth. That's following up on 544% sales growth. That's what you look for in these companies, is it, the sales growth. They're not going to be in the sales comes before the earnings, okay? Because they're still losing money, right? So yeah, if you look at their balance sheet here, where is CoreWeave? Where's CoreWeave? Yeah, they don't have any cash flow, return on equity or anything. They got a bunch of debt. So sales come and then they'll have the earnings, but really strong. I think 420% sales growth. Looks like it's flat after hours. Look at how much it ran into the print. So, a pullback would be expected. I mean, yeah. Nice report though from them. IREN, Irene. No, IREN, this is Iris Energy up 3% on their report. I'll have more in the morning on this. This is a cryptocurrency stock. NXT, this is a solar name. The solar group's looking better. You can see that 52.27. I want to go to 10 because 10 was up last week, one of the top performing exchange traded funds, up 8% last week, up 11% this week. So don't ignore NXT on this earnings report. This thing can really move. It's only up 2.5%, but you could see that buy point there, 52.27. I'll have more on this in the morning. That stock can really move as well. What's in the box? A jack in the box? Not much. I saw that their same store sales declined 4.5%. This is what I'm talking about with Dutch Bros. With their 4.7% same store sales year over year is crazy. The Dutch Bros of all these restaurant names, coffee restaurant, Dutch Bros is the one to own, in my opinion. They're taking market share. And Jack in the Box with their, yeah, just a really rough report. Anyway, I'll have more on that in the morning. And we have more stuff to look forward to in the morning. BABA will report. They usually report super early. In fact, I usually, get them, yeah, they're super early in the morning. So have that information from Baba. Nice cup shape pattern here, handling out. I would not be surprised if that thing traded above 140 tomorrow, but we'll see what the report, see what they have to say. Walmart reports in the morning, so they're going to talk about the price of groceries, I'm sure. It's still a grocery store stock, and this one has a cup with handle. Nice pullback to the 21 here. You can see the 21 has rallied through the 15. That's not a bad looking chart for Walmart, but we'll have to see what they say. And then John Deere reports in the morning, once again, consolidating, just blasting off those lows from 404 here, minding the five, right? So we'll see what they have to say tomorrow. Anyway, that's it for me. The rally looks good. The index looks good. I just showed you a ton of stocks that are not only, the original leaders, but now some follow-up leaders, some different groups. This is looking fantastic here. So if it pulls back a couple of days, that's kind of what we want, right? Some healthy digestion, healthy consolidation, healthy pullback. I mean, if it's got a mind of its own, it's going to do what it wants to do. And if it wants to rip straight to 20,000, there's nothing you can do about it. If it wants to pull back to its five, there's nothing you can do about it. That's fine. But I think this rally is healthy. And there, I switched it to the five, so you can see the five is now trending through the 200. So this looks fantastic. The rally looks great. We should be, stepping on the gas here. And your stocks aren't going to go up every day. As I saw some of the names that I have that, pull back a little bit. This is HIMS, that you're just going to have that. Once it goes up so darn much, they're going to pull back a little bit. Palantir, I think that one, it didn't pull back, but maybe tomorrow it'll pull back. So just some of these names are not going to go up every day. Anyway, at mcstockcharts.com. Thank you for watching. Spotify is liking to pull back to the 21 there. I want to see that thing bounce. Anyway, we never give up. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.